Yes.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Actually Comics. My name is Tristan, and I'm joined today by Bob. Yes.
Hello, everybody.
And I'm going to switch over to you on the cameras.
Now I'm on the camera,
Yeah,
but I'm not looking at the camera. I don't want the camera to think I'm looking at it.
No, you don't want to give it any ideas.
I'm playing coy with the camera.
Perfect. Yes, hard to get. That's Bob.
That's me. I am so hard to get.
Difficult to get. Difficult to understand.
Oh, that pause was that could easily come back to bite me if someone had audio editing software. Anyway,
luckily I do. Anyway, we're going to talk about comics, and we've got the video stuff up and running for some reason. Who knows? Why not?
We love the video.
Yeah, we do.
We love having it.
We love it, even though AC/DC told me to blow it up. I'm not going to do that.
And I'm looking to make sure the light is not on before I take a drink.
I'm gonna make sure that it is on so that you get caught taking
bastard.
a drink. There we go.
I was being so slick, like a city boy.
Real sick, like
a real city slicker.
We'll get to City Boy anyway. So new comics. Let's talk about it. We get an Amazing Spider-Man annual this week.
Yes.
Which is going to wrap up a couple of little loose ends, including the my favorite character that Spider-Man has probably ever created, Hallows' Eve. Big fan of this character, and I'm glad to see that this is not going to be the end of this character. There's a Halloween special that's going to come out with her, and this also is going to, I don't know how much of a spoiler the wedding is between the two characters. Who gives a shit? But there's a wedding that's going to happen.
A wedding in the Spider-Man comic?
Whoa! But from characters that we don't care about.
Oh.
So
I mean, I don't even know which characters they are.
Tombstone's son.
Yes, that's right. I did know about that, but forgot.
Someone else's something or other that I can't remember.
Speaking of Halloween, really briefly, I'm staring in front of me and you have candy on the shelf, and one of them is Halloween 2 themed candy, and I realize that you have Halloween candy, and I think it's really funny.
I love all of that stuff where like they got the wrong licenses, or they couldn't like. There was a thing that happened with Hellraiser where all of the licensing, like they just signed the wrong fucking paper for I think part 3, and just like Clive Barker mistakenly didn't do something, and so all of the rights. Anytime somebody makes a figure, it's always a Hellraiser 3 figure. And
interesting.
Just because for some reason that isn't covered by whatever the big licensing agreement is. So people get nice cheap licenses for that.
Nice.
Let's see. Next up we have Black Cloak.
I like Black Cloak. I did not read it because I want to read the last couple issues altogether, but that's Kelly Thompson, and I like the artist as well, whose name I can't remember. I'm sorry.
I can't either. So
I think I have it right here.
Meredith McLaren.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Hey, there you go. And Becca Carey, who I don't know. I assume that's
perhaps the colorist.
Nobody credits their letterers
digital
anymore.
painter, if you will.
I will. You know what? Fuck it, I will.
Yeah.
Just cause. Buffy, the Last Vampire Slayer. I was just saying the other day when we got the trade in for this, I was like, it's insane that this wasn't an ongoing and that they didn't bring this whole thing back. What the fuck? This was such a good story.
Yeah, it was good.
Ta-da.
Well, the funny thing about it was I've been ignoring the Buffy comics for a little while now because I haven't been enjoying them terribly, and this one I just assumed was the newest issue of the Vampire Slayer series that I've been ignoring, and so I didn't even pick it up and look at it. But I did like the last Vampire Slayer series before this, so cool.
I like Buffy looking all old and like Tank Girl.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a good look.
It totally works.
I think that would be. I mean, listen, they do it with so many things now. I'm surprised that that's not something.
Last Slayer, Last Ronin, Last
the
Man
Mohicans.
Standing, Last
Comic Standing. I remember when they did that.
That series, Last Comic Standing, but they thought it was about a comic, but it was actually about a comedian.
So what we got here is a Christopher. I wanted to say Christopher Cross so bad. The oddly pedestrian life of Christopher Chaos.
Yeah, I really like this comic a lot. I think it's good.
Well, there you go.
I,
Have at it.
I fully recommend, if you didn't get the first one, that you get it along with this one.
Yeah, I really liked the first one. I do not know what's happening. I did not read this one, unfortunately. But then I saw the variant covers, and I was very confused by the appearance of a Dracula boy.
Dracula boy is so there are Christopher Chaos is he's got like these kind of adapty science powers, and apparently he's been kicked in the face because he has a scar on his face that's in the shape of the goggles that he wears all the time. So there's some people getting killed. There's some weird crime. There was some people dressed as bunnies doing crimes, and then they got murdered by I assume the Dracula boy, but
what? I thought the Dracula boy was going to be like friendly.
Well, maybe not. Maybe so. I honestly, I just kind of flip through it because when it's a comic that I know that I already am gonna, I don't always. And
I just thought he was way too sexy for that to be like a one-off character.
I kind of slept on the job today.
Oh, me too. Oh boy, same.
Every comic is just great.
Everything is.
I like all of them.
I like how bright the colors are
and shiny the paper is.
It absorbed my drool very well.
That's how you know. That's how you know I'm lying. Is if I say I like the shiny paper, I'm lying because I hate shiny paper.
Oh, you know what's shiny that you do love?
What?
This. City boy.
City boy. You don't want your kind around here, city boy.
City boy. Looks like we got us one of them City Boy comics.
Yeah, I like the first two issues of City Boy. This one is City Boy is just talking to Superman, which, often, I was just reminded recently from my online Facebook group that I'm part of, that the Eisner winner for best story once was Hitman, where he talks to Superman. Do you remember that comic? It won the Eisner for like best single issue.
Well, that's Nutter Butters.
So I should shout out the person, but I can't think of the name, and I really should. So I'm going to get it before the end of the podcast because I want to shout out the person whose idea that actually was to post that. But anyway, people just sitting around talking to Superman can be like the greatest comic ever. So this probably is, but I kind of slept on the job this week.
That concept is so intrinsic to characterization in the DC universe. Like, they've used it so many times, but it's like it's so important because you have a character as iconic as Superman and so important, and you know who he is and what he's about, that it literally, the second that he starts interacting with a character, you know what that character is about based on how Superman interacts with him.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. He's like the litmus test for heroics,
because
especially in the DC universe.
Because he's basically a perfect human being. He is, in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Well, actually, that will come into play.
He's a bit of an Ubermensch, if you will.
Or just like perfect in a moral sense. And
I think he's practically perfect in every way.
Yeah, he's very Poppins-esque.
I believe that he would make a great nanny for the children. So come in, Mr. Kal-El, and make yourself at home and take care of the kids and give them cough syrup. I guess is all. Was that what they did? And just fed the kids cough syrup, and they hallucinated this magical nanny.
That's correct.
Okay.
Also, I'm going to shout out the guy's name is Doyle Dodd, who posted the thing. He's a good guy, and I knew that was his name, but I didn't want to get it wrong
because it's so close to Doyle Dormammu,
who also comes into play later.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway,
all right. So
shout out there.
Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, it's a number one
Conan.
relaunch of Conan. Apparently, it's like incredibly highly ordered. It's like I saw that online. There was something about the new. I mean, it's Conan. People like Conan.
Do they?
Well, I think a lot of people who like comics but don't like superhero comics. So I think there are a lot of people that would be excited by a Conan comic that very particularly harkens to a classic era of Conan comics. I think it's like kind of like there's a fan that maybe isn't as engaged with regular monthly comics that will be like, yeah, okay, like, because it's like but in a certain way it's interesting because it's the artist Delator or something like that.
The artist is insane.
Is very good artist, but very, very, very much channeling John Buscema in a way that is like kind of like
almost parroting.
Yeah, like you could easily trick someone into thinking this was a Buscema comic.
To the point
easily.
where I legitimately did think that, and I didn't.
You thought it was like a reprint.
When this came out, what I thought was that this was actually what I thought was that it was an Italian comic that someone had taken and retranslated, and they just used Zub as their writer. I was like, oh, okay, because Titan isn't known for this sort of thing. Like Conan seems like a very odd property for Titan to have.
Yeah.
To me. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, it's weird how it gets like bounced, how it's, especially lately, it's been bound, like Marvel having it and making such a big deal out of having it and then losing it. Like, it's just like where the people who do Conan, like, not happy with what Marvel was doing or whatever it was. Maybe they had some kind of escape clause built into it or whatever. But the one thing about that I think is sort of like a missed opportunity, if I were to complain about one aspect of it, is it would be interesting to see someone do the Buscema style and then do something that's totally modern and that Buscema wouldn't have done. You know, like, I don't know what that thing would have been, but to somehow kind of do something visually different with it, but still maintain that style. It really is very much like trying to be like a classic Conan comic, and in
it is so dated in the artwork. I mean, it's wonderful, and also simultaneously, like, when you see somebody do Mignola perfectly, you're like, oh, I don't want to read this.
Yeah, well, I actually do want to read it, and I will say, like, again, I slept on the job. I didn't like totally read it. But I did, and Mignola did do a cover, so I was like, I'm grabbing that Mignola cover, and I'm going to read it, and then whether I come back for an issue 2 is, because Conan is really not like a thing that I'm like when it's good, I really like it, but it's like very rare for it to be good enough for me to really like it. But a lot of people are like, Conan is like their shit, you know, that's what they like.
I always thought that it was like, I always kind of felt like Conan strides this line of like I love a good sword and sandals pile of nonsense book, but there's something about it that almost feels like people, like an Oath Keepers kind of thing, where it's like going to be like fans of people who are like, oh, man's place is here, and you know what I mean? Like, it's such a weird. It's like toxic masculinity, the concept.
Yeah, I mean,
writ large.
Conan was known for doing some things that.
Right, of course.
Very cool at all, and because it's like a barbarous time, it's like kind of like, oh, well, it's okay then. That's
right,
but it's
exactly.
like
it gets written off.
That's sort of the problem that I have with it, is that it's like it's kind of a cop out, because it's like you're making it up.
You're making it right now.
Yeah, like you could make it whatever you want, and
you weren't writing it in pre whatever in Hyborian times.
Yeah, so clearly their mandate was to make something that like feels like an old school Conan comic, but what I think could have been a neat thing to do with that is to like be like, we have this artist who can do the most pitch perfect John Buscema that you've ever seen that isn't John Buscema. Like, let's do something weird with it. Let's do something different that and maybe they will, maybe they won't, I don't know, but you know, it's solid, it's good. If you like John Buscema classic Conan, like, there's probably a lot for you to dig here. And also, if you like Linsner, there's a Linsner cover where you can imagine his rippling muscles. I only say that because you just put it down in front of me. If you're like me and don't like that kind of stuff, there's a Mignola cover. There's also one that costs $2 more. It's just a map.
Oh man,
it's kind of neat.
But then you can find out where Hyboria.
Yes, you can. That way, when you go to Hyboria, you know how to get from one land to the other.
Yes.
I don't know.
I hate it when I get lost in Hyboria.
It's, you know, it happens.
So
without a map.
So we got a new issue of Dead by Daylight.
This is the one that's in a bag I couldn't read.
Yeah, they keep it in a bag so that you don't get that sweet code.
Oh, the code.
The code. You get something, you get a little thing to hang off your bailing hook that you impale people with when you're murdering them. In your murder game, you fucking heathens.
So Dead by Daylight is a murder game.
It is a game
where we probably talked about this when the last issue came out.
It is a game where you play a serial killer.
Oh.
Just like everybody wants to.
Serial killing is another bag of mine.
I mean, it is to be fair, it is more a slasher movie trope type of version of that, but
Nice.
it's actually kind of fun, and also it is chock full of like Freddy Kruegers, and you literally like there's literally a Freddy Krueger skin. There's like all of these other things that you can put into it. So
Cool.
there's some fun things in it.
Nice.
I haven't played it because
that also
I'm too
by-
scared.
Is that also by Titan?
It is also by Titan.
Titan. Where are you coming in hot this week with Titan?
Yeah, I mean, I miss them having the Tanker license, but this is good.
Interesting.
Doctor Strange.
This is one I really don't have an excuse to not have read, because this is literally my favorite Marvel comic book currently. And
I feel the same way about this Fantastic Four comic that I'm opening up for the
the
first
Fantastic
time right now.
Four looks really good. It's cool. I like it. I like Fantastic Four as well. But-
Everybody's got so many arms.
Well, yeah, it just looks interesting. I like that it's smart. I
Yeah,
like
of
that I
course.
have to like read it a couple times to really get it.
Yep.
'Cause
Agree.
You don't get
So-
that with a lot of superhero comics.
Doctor
but
Strange
Doctor
has-
Strange is awesome.
Doctor Strange is awesome. Fantastic Four is also awesome.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you like Goros, this thing's fucking littered with Goros. Everybody's got 4 arms. It's great.
I'm sorry, I just yawned on camera.
How dare you?
I'm so excited
I'll
to be here.
Click it over to me.
I already
Oh,
yawned.
look, I'm
It was-
not tired. I'm just full of energy. Look at me,
Too
vim and
little,
vigor.
too
For a
little, too
man
late.
pushing 50, I'm nearly alive.
Fantastic.
Just thinking about the fact that I had only like 20 years left to live, and I was like, man, that's weird.
Aw,
It's a very strange
It
thing
is,
to
yeah,
think of.
it is.
Like, what am I going to do with these 20 years? I got 20 fucking years. I should rack up a bunch of debt.
When you die, it goes away.
And I said, too late for that. I've already racked up that debt. Anyway, try owning a comic shop through COVID, ladies and gentlemen. Hey. Anyway, Fence is a comic book.
Yes, it's about fencing.
It's sadly it's not about
It's not about selling
selling
jewels.
stolen merchandise. Yes, it is about actually fencing, and it is an LGBTQ title, so very
Popular on
very popular
that
on
front?
that front. Yes, and Fire and Ice. Speaking of the polar opposite of that, we have yet another based on barbarian stabby,
Yeah.
punchy stabby. But I'm going to tell you, the art in this surprised the ever-living hell out of me. I thought it was phenomenal, and this is a much more readable version of this type of book than I would have ever imagined in a million years.
Yeah, it didn't appeal to me, but it
I mean,
it looks good.
their version, I can't even remember what the name of the character is, but the guy with the wolf pelt from Fire and Ice, I can't remember the name of the character.
It's Fire and Ice. I thought Fire and Ice was like a roller coaster.
Probably, but I would assume it's based on the heavy metal movie Fire and Ice that Frank Frazetta
I never saw it.
made. Yeah. Well,
Sometimes there's just blind spots in my nerddom, and I thought it was just a painting.
oh, it's so good. Honestly, I actually really like Fire and Ice. I mean,
Uh.
it's so dated. I feel like people watching it today would hate it, but I feel like people today would hate watching Fantastic Planet too.
Oh.
You know, it's like it's the same thing.
I
where,
like watching Fantastic Planet because it's just so weird. It's
It-
like watching the Boba
it's
Fett
so
segment of the Star
depressing.
Wars holiday special. It's just like weird.
It's real weird, but it's
mean,
also
it's
really
nothing like that,
sad.
but-
It's just like, man, these poor little things, they're just getting
Yeah.
crushed and eaten and destroyed and mangled.
Yeah.
They're like Pikmin, and they're just getting their asses kicked all the time. This mean French cartoonist thinks that he can just kill these things off with no regard.
Oh man, you just keep catching me yawning on that damn camera.
That's my whole point. Hey, it's me again.
If I could control when I yawned, it would be better.
Oh, listen,
I could save it up.
you should.
Just do it right now. One big one.
Too bad it's on my camera. Anyway, Gargoyles.
Ah, yes. It's about them.
It is.
It's about those gargoyles.
It's about them gargoyles.
them there gargoyles. Listen, city boy, we don't want you gargoyle
What
type
can you
around
do
here.
with them gargoyles. We got Good Deeds.
Good deeds. Yes, I flipped through that to remind myself that it was a thing that I didn't read
Yep,
before.
it's a thing I don't like and I don't care about, and there you go. But I do know that none of it goes unpunished, is what I know.
Because it is a good Deed. I thought it was about
Correctamundo.
Mr. Deeds and him being good. It was called Good Deeds.
All I know about Mr. Deeds is that I think pees on the side of a building with a child, and maybe
Sure.
I'm thinking of a different person.
No, he's Adam Sandler, I believe.
Then all I know is that someone in a wheelchair gets hit by a bus.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that there is a single Adam Sandler movie where
Someone just get
someone
hit by
in
a
a
bus.
wheelchair doesn't get hit by a bus at some point, and I definitely know someone gets kicked in the crotch. There is
for sure.
for sure
At
football in the groin at the very minimum.
Ooh.
We've got Grimm here.
Grimm. I like Grimm. Still like Grimm.
Yeah.
Grimm's good.
Grimm is good.
Grimm's good. Good Grimm.
Yep.
Not to be confused with Good Deeds.
Satan is good. Satan's your pal.
Grimm is about a Grim Reaper person who's a Grim Reaper.
Yes.
But many other things are also going on in that comic book as well. I think that Grimm would have fit in the Vertigo world back when Vertigo was
think
a
you're
thing
right.
that was the thing that happened in comics. I'm so good at talking today. I'm so glad I'm
just gonna leave you on
Oh
camera.
God, please don't. I'm so tired.
Okay, then I'm going to discuss my Halloween version of Teddy Grahams called the Graham Reapers. Now, this is a line of little bears in hoods, and they have scythes, and
That's
they reap the
amazing.
souls of the other little bears.
That's almost as good as that Vancouver Mellencamp that you
Yes,
said earlier.
my strip club, the Vancouver Mellencamp.
Your
Yep.
Vancouver-based strip club, Vancouver Mellencamp. It's very good.
Oh, and the Ottawa Bakery, the Ottawa Bismarcks.
Yeah, that's not as good.
that's a
I
bit
do
of a
like it,
stretch.
but it's not as good.
No, you're right. I mean, Vancouver Mellencamp is probably the greatest idea ever.
It's pretty
Anyway,
good.
Okay, Hellboy.
Hellboy. Oh, it's great. Mike Norton drew it. It's cool. It's
Mike Norton drew it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
shit,
Mike
I
Norton
love
is
that
like
guy.
smashing it. It's really good.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah.
It's really good.
Let me make sure I show this. Look, I'm going to show you some of this art cuz it's really good.
Yeah.
And I love Mike Norton and I think he's amazing.
Yeah.
And and he's not somebody who gets enough credit.
No.
And he passed out and slept underneath his table at our convention.
Aw. Mike Norton.
He was drinking whiskey straight out of a bottle like everybody else there. We had given everyone way too much alcohol, and they were all drunk as fuck. And the second day, Mike was passed out underneath his table.
Oh,
It
wow.
was good.
Did he
stuff.
have like a cloth to hide himself, or could you just see that he was down there?
You could pretty much tell that he was down there. It was very funny.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Whiskey. That's like when the video port party when I drank too much whiskey and I ended up walking out like they still had the alarm system on and I fucking set it off. I looked over at Bill and I was just like so hammered. And then I just went over to Bull Moose and my friend Max was working and I said, I need a bag to put all of these DVDs in. But then the next day I just brought them back and put them in the drop slot. Oh, I felt like such an asshole the next day. What a shit.
My God, what a day.
I did have a good time though.
So we have here the astonishing Iceman.
Ah, yes. You know, oddly enough, I read this because I realized we were talking about this earlier, but like I got so angry at the X-Men comics that now I read the only, I would say probably the only two comics that I read cover to cover were both X-Men comics, which I hate. But there's something wrong with me on that front. Anyway, I read the Iceman comic because I wanted to figure out how he wasn't dead because they killed him in the last comic. And it's kind of dumb.
And they Star Wars'd it. They said, somehow the Emperor is back.
No, it was like somehow true love brought him back. It was kind of dumb.
It was kind of
It
dumb.
was kind of dumb, but it was nice to see Iceman being like a cool superhero and stuff.
I gotta say, I like this idea, this Superman Fortress of Solitude shit with like him making the constructs out of ice that he's literally talking to, and like
I did
that
like
shit
that.
is fucking cool.
And he basically made a version of him from the first appearance
Yes.
from the first issue of X-Men.
He even has his dumb little boots. It's so cute.
You know, it might even. No, he doesn't have a carrot in his nose, but there's like a kind of a famous X-Men pinup. That Dave Cockrum did that has it's like Iceman, and maybe he's making a snowman.
Yes.
I just remember Iceman
Yeah,
having
yeah.
a carrot in his nose. and it was the new X-Men and the old X-Men together in one. Anyway, whatever. He's talking to he's doing that thing. Now they all do it. Human Torch can do that too now. He can create flame guys that he can talk to and do stuff with. Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I think
why not?
I mean, I don't know, it doesn't make as much sense for the Human Torch as it does for Iceman, but I like what Iceman's doing because he has the ability to manipulate this stuff on a molecular level. So
right.
At a certain point, because he has been established to be an Omega level mutant, all of that stuff where it's like, okay, if he's that far, if he's in the realm of a Professor X, then of course.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to do some of this crazy shit. And I love this crazy shit. And it goes back to the 90s even, or early 2000s, whenever it was.
90s.
Was it 90s? When was the Emma Stone issue?
I'd say that was probably like 95.
Yeah, it was mid 90s. That's right. Where basically she was like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
You are wasted. You're throwing ice. Are you kidding me? I can see into your brain and I know what you can do with your powers."
Yeah.
And she takes control of him and is like, "Here you go. You're a monster." And she does all this crazy shit with him, and it's really fun. And I loved that issue. That was one of my favorites of that run.
Yeah, and it fucked him up for a while afterwards. Yeah. The funny thing for me is that Iceman was like always my favorite X-Men character, and it's probably like as dumb as the fact that like his name is Bobby, and I was Bobby when I was a kid when I first started reading comic books with the Iceman.
Yeah.
And the only letter that I've told you this before, but the only letter I ever had published was 100% just about Iceman.
But it was from Top Gun. That's why it's so weird.
No, it was actually about this version of Iceman.
Dear Iceman, how
very
do you click
upset.
your teeth like that?
I was very upset that they had announced the team of X-Men that were going to be in the new X-Men #1 that Jim Lee was doing, and that they were X-Factor was my favorite comic, and anyway, I thought that he wasn't going to be in it, so I wrote them a letter that was like saying, I really hope the Iceman is in this comic book, and they were like, rest assured. It was actually Bob Harris. So there was like this whole Bob thing going on in that.
You had some sort of simpatico psychic link with him based on your Bobness.
Yes.
And Bobitude.
Bobitude. Yep. That's true. I was really into Iceman at one point.
Your bobaciousness.
And so I saw this, so of course I wanted to read it, but.
And I also want to shout out Steve. I want to shout out Steve Orlando for this because I do give him a hard time sometimes because some of his stuff I find inaccessible. I thought that it might have been the cultural difference from the fact that he's writing from a gay perspective, and maybe I wasn't understanding certain things, and so it just wasn't for me. And I have a close friend who is also gay, and he's like, no, it's not you. It's
funny.
He just misses the mark a lot.
I've been on a tear of trying to find the original Superboy. Tom Grummet's Superboy series from the post death of Superman, and then like Connor Kent or whatever he became called, Con-El.
Yeah.
And so I found a copy of his first appearance, which isn't hard to find. It's actually one of the easiest. For some reason, those comics are actually really hard to find for me. For some reason, I don't see them, but I got that one. And the first thing he does in his first appearance is he smashes this car that's about to run this lady over, and then he just like kisses her. And I thought like that's pretty like. You wouldn't see that in a comic today, and then in this Iceman comic, he totally does it with a dude. He's just like, yeah, and he just like kisses him, and it's not a guy he knows.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's right in that Iceman comic. It's literally like the exact same scene. He saves a guy from being killed by nanobots, and then he's just like, yeah, I'm Iceman, and he just like tongue kisses him basically.
What the fuck? That's
weird.
That's inappropriate.
I mean. I mean, either you think it is or you think it isn't, but I personally think it is. But whatever, I
think pretty much society has determined that consent is very important.
Yeah.
When it comes to sexual acts.
Yeah, and maybe there's some aspect of it that I didn't realize where consent was implied, but it just whatever. I mean, I'm not crying in my soup about a fucking Iceman comic book, but I just thought it was funny that I read this one comic and was like, ooh, and then I read this other comic and the exact same thing happened, and I was like, oh, interesting. Comics are still exactly the same as they were in 1992.
You know what else is the same?
What?
Junk Rabbit.
Oh yeah, I've never read it.
Well, it's about a rabbit made out of junk.
Is it really? I hope so.
It basically is.
Okay.
Justice Society of America.
Oh yeah, it's finally they ended the first story, but because this is just like one of those things where it's like the delays like really fucking kill the momentum on it.
I did not
like
read
I'm
it.
sure
I don't remember anything about the other issues.
Well, they've been fighting this Degaten, who's like a classic JSA villain, time travel guy, and it's just the first arc, but the first arc started a year ago, and it's only 5 issues or 6 issues or whatever
it's
of this
weird.
one issue. So it's like it's fine, it's cool. I do really dislike the Huntress costume, like too much piping. I don't understand costumes with piping, but whatever. It's cool, and they're finally so now whenever the next issue comes out, it'll be current with what's going on in DC, and it'll feel more like it's not its own thing that doesn't affect anything.
Oof, I hate that piping
there was
too.
a cool
Yikes.
yeah, it's lame. But there is a like little post-credit scene in this one that catches it up to the more recent events of things, just in time to be about nightmares for 2 months or whatever is happening.
Yeah, and
But
speaking,
I like it. It's a good comic. It's just like that's the only thing about it. It's just like the delays are bullshit. You know.
Speaking of nightmares, what about Night Terrors, Black Adam?
Yeah.
I seriously,
It's fine.
I like this book. I actually enjoy this book, and I don't like Black Adam.
Yeah.
Like, I do not like the character. I liked him in 52. Period.
Yeah.
I mean, like I think everyone.
He was good in 52.
Everyone that's like, oh, I like Black Adam. They like.
He was good in JSA too, actually.
Oh, that's true. I did like.
That's where he
him in
kind of
JSA.
first came back.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
52 was really where it was at for
Yep.
me, at least. And we've got Batman, the Night Terrors Batman as well.
Yeah. Which I almost bought because it had an Arsenal backup, but
That's very silly.
it is very silly, and I didn't buy it. But I just really love Arsenal. I think he's great. He's my favorite DC superhero.
Really? Even more so than Johnny Joke'em Up?
Yes, way more so than Johnny Joke'em.
Well, here's Johnny Joke'em Up's number 2.
Yep.
And
It's fine. All of these are fine. I just like the overall concept is not exciting to me personally, but
Yeah, yeah.
like I don't think there's anything wrong with these comic books. I don't like
It's just so funny
just-
because like when I first started reading comics, one of the first things I read was essentially this crossover. Was when Eclipso was the Eclipso crossover that was the entire universe, and it was like, I'm Eclipso, now everything's a nightmare. And it's like, this is literally the same story, but it's fine. I liked it then, I like it now. It's a different spin on that same thing, but that Eclipso crossover is very similar.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple of these that
Admittedly,
I
I haven't read it in 25 years, but I
it was
seem to
cool.
remember it being very much like this.
Well, that was more about like the darkness within, kind of,
Sure.
you know, and this is more like
The darkness
the
within.
dark dreams within.
Sure, there you go. And here's, of course, Ravager. I just showed Poison Ivy prior to that. That cover is so fucking good. It kills me. I
Which
love
is that one?
this one. The one where she's eating the bug and she's got the crazy weird eyes.
It's not for me.
So weird. I love it.
Blah.
Oh my god. It's like the perspective is so wonkadoo. It's so like it looks like a 90s commercial for some sort of snack food. Love it. Speaking of love, it's everlasting.
Yeah.
Like a gobstopper.
I actually really need to take the last like 4 issues of this and read them so I can decide whether I want to keep following it or not. I did like it a lot at the beginning, but I realized I haven't read it in like 4 months. And I really probably should because I don't know what's happening.
Well, there you go. Here's one. I didn't read it, but as I've said before, I've never read a bad Magneto solo book. Honestly,
It's J.M. DeMatteis, so it's cool. I actually did read this, another X-Men comic that I read cover to cover this week for some reason. But this one is set during the early days of Magneto taking over
Magneto
is taking over as headmaster of the Xavier School, and it's all the classic New Mutants kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Who is the person in the Magneto costume?
It's a new character,
Okay.
I believe, but I don't know. It's certainly not a character I've seen before. Now take the camera off me so I can yawn.
Okay, there we go. Hi.
And I didn't yawn.
That's how you cure a yawn.
I see. It's like
I don't know. She looks really good in that costume, though.
Yeah.
It looks better on her than it does on him. Just saying. Anyway,
I like that costume with just the big M on it. It's like,
God,
I love the most on the nose costume that anyone is just like this giant foot to fucking shoulders M.
What's great about it
Who's
is
that
that
guy?
it looks basically like the Hate Monger's costume without the hood.
Oh, because he has a giant H, but his only goes down to the crotch, and the M Magneto goes
down
to
his
all the way
legs.
down his legs.
Yeah. Well, if he was Hagnito, it would probably look exactly like the
Hey,
Hate
Monger.
Mongers.
Also, if he wore like a weird tunic, because Kirby was into tunics.
He was
He
into
just
tunics.
really liked a tunic.
I mean, I also like a tunic. Honestly, if I could pull off a tunic, I would probably do it.
I don't have the waistline for it.
No, me either. Let's see. We've got Moon Knight.
I
He's got some
flipped through it to
fucking
see if
moloids, yo.
I flipped through it to see if Tigra was in it, and she wasn't, so I didn't read it.
I don't care about anything but moloids, and it's got moloids.
There you
so,
Cool.
Read this comic book. It's got moloids.
I do like Jed McKay. He wrote that Doctor Strange comic that I like.
I like him too. And here's a little pony that belongs to you, aka My Little Pony, from the
Your Little Pony.
finally
It's mine.
MEIN. It's a German comic called Mein
Little
Mein
Pony.
Little Pony. Here we have the first appearance of Gene Simmons in Omega Men. Yes, that is Lobo's first appearance back when he looked like the Scooby-Doo villain knockoff of Gene Simmons.
Yes. One thing that is notable about these facsimiles is when they get into like more modern material that's being reprinted, they look more authentic.
Yeah.
Than like certainly like the My Greatest Adventure one that came out recently with the Doom Patrol. Like that one was really cool, but like there's no way you'd be tricked into thinking it was actually a Silver Age comic. Whereas this, like for me, like I can look at that Tron ad on the back and be like the colors are off, but like because I saw that Tron ad on a million different comics.
Oh yeah.
But
then when you see this ad for Amethyst and the ad inside for Bubble Yum.
Which was the one with the kid that says "yum"?
That one, that commercial, that really confused me a lot.
Yeah,
I never really understood it. I think it makes sense because it worked in the commercial.
I'm sure.
And there was something in a commercial with a kid doing that thing, and
he's like just his head is over the
it's just
counter,
like
and he
under
says
the
"yum."
Yeah. I don't.
But yeah,
understand
it probably was a callback to a thing that was more culturally zeitgeisty of the time.
It was a where's the beef moment.
Yeah. The ones that really got me was, remember the Gumby Gum Pop?
Yes.
And it was serialized, and I just for whatever reason never saw the one where they got like they were in the land of gum, and then like something happened, and I wanted to know what happened next, but I never saw the second one.
Yeah, it was like Brax or something.
Yeah, Brax Pops.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
Here's a question that I have for you before we move on to
For me
Once Upon a
specifically?
Time at the End of the World. Yes.
Oh.
Well, I mean, if anybody else who's listening to this wants to answer this for me, I would love to hear it. Why hasn't Fantagraphics or IDW or any of these people with these licenses who are good at getting all of this material together, why has there never been a release of all of the Twinkie ads? Why have we never had a Hostess book?
I think
I want a collection of Hostess Twinkie ads.
Yeah. I would love it as like an actual like comic book too, like just a comic where it's just the Twinkie ads.
Oh, if you serialized it, I would buy the shit out of that.
No, just like all of them in one like supersized comic. There's
That
only
would
a
be so
kind of
big. There's literally hundreds of them. Well,
Are there
Not
hundreds?
hundreds plural. There's over 100.
well, I mean, just 100-page giant, 2 issues.
It's true. That'd be cool. I would be into it.
I'd be into it too. There's some really good ones.
There really are. And
What was the one that I saw there recently that I was like, what is fucking going? The Wonder Woman one, The Borrower.
yes.
He's like, I'll just borrow this. I'll just borrow these jewels, and it doesn't explain in any way why he's like able to just walk into stores and take stuff. Like
That's his superpower.
he's borrowing.
I mean, there's so much of that. It's so
Oh.
crazy that they're from the 70s and like the language is so it's so purple and so like lost to time that
Yeah.
they're just like One of the Spider-Man ones is called Spidey Spoils a Snatch. Is one of the. It's like, come on, you had to know what you were doing.
And you also like, yeah, you couldn't write it today. Like there was a comic I was reading. It was just a Bronze Age Batman family comic where Robin and Batgirl teaming up to fight the Outsider, who is just Alfred, but for some reason has these really weird supernatural powers where he can like pluck the moon from the sky and throw it at you. Stuff like that. It's like just completely weird, but he jumps out of a television screen, which is like used to great effect in like The Ring and stuff like that later. If you think about it, it's actually genuinely kind of horrifying, but he comes out and Robin's just like, watch out, Batgirl, that guy's full of supernatural tricks. And it's just like, you couldn't write that perfectly weird anachronistic language today. You just like, nobody could.
Bob Burden.
Yeah
He's the only person I can think of.
But it would be,
he could write a Stardust the Super Wizard story that you would be convinced was actually real.
I'm starting to really regret not backing that Stardust thing that's coming. That was on Kickstarter.
No, I saw that.
I just like $100 Kickstarter. Like I just can't. But like,
so expensive.
But it looks so cool. That guy Jesse Lonergan, who I really like, it was doing one of his Instagram posts of like just he maps everything out and rules everything out, but then he inks it by hand and he does these process videos, and it's like amazing to watch because like the shapes they seem so perfect, but when you look at them, they're actually not. Like they're freehand, like it's pretty neat to watch. Good. But the thing about the borrower that I also there was when she beats him at the end with the Twinkie pies, she's like, here. And he's like, are those the same Twinkies that I borrowed before? And I'm like, are you, what? Like, are they the same Twinkies that you borrowed before?
Did you digest them and then they came back?
What did you do with the Twinkies that you borrowed before that Wonder Woman would somehow have come into possession of them and then given them back to you? Borrower. I just don't get it. Anyway, sorry.
I mean, listen, I don't get it either. I just knocked the camera for this.
Oh.
And now it's all...
No.
It's all kerplunked. Oh, there we go. I dekerplunked it.
Really?
I dekerplunked it. Don't worry about it.
Created quite the boner.
I mean, listen, the use of boner in those commercials as well. Also, I believe still allegedly the first person to be funny on the internet, a.k.a. Sean Baby. That site is probably still up there. I would assume that...
the Sean Baby stuff is definitely still there. At least the last time I looked.
You could probably find all of that stuff, and some of it is very funny. There's sort of a Mystery Science Theater thing done with it where he has a bunch of terrible characters, including the Luke Cage villain Mr. Fish is one of the... like Rosie Rocket and Mr. Fish, I think, are two of the characters, and they do commentaries on the Twinkie ads, and it is very funny.
Nice. Yeah, those are good. The one through my comic group
real throwback. That is like 30 years old.
Oh yeah, definitely. But just relevant to this through the panel to panel group that I admin for on Facebook. One of the guys that's a member is the archivist from, I think I mentioned it before on the show. He mentioned recently that any comic book where they say the word boner is like more requested than any other comic book. It's like people just really want the reprints of the boner comic books, which I think is just very strange. I would be like, what's the ones I can't afford that I want to read?
That seems like the ones
that would be the ones that I would want.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, Lobo's first appearance, if that was a thing I wanted. Like that's an expensive back issue, so having a copy of it to read. Like,
the first time I got one of these in, I read it, and I was like,
it's not very good.
I don't ever need to read this again.
It's like when Keith Giffen...
It was never need to see this.
It was before Keith Giffen started aping Jose Munoz, but while he was still aping Jack Kirby, basically...
I mean, there's some good stuff here, but...
I like Keith Giffen.
Yeah.
But he definitely at that point was like... It was before he got to that style that I liked, which I realized much later was copying another guy.
All right.
But he's now got his own style that I like as well.
Once Upon a Time at the End of the World.
Yeah, sorry.
It's a comic.
Oh, yeah. No, it's good. I didn't read it, but I really like this comic.
There's less fucking in this one. So.
Yeah, thank sort of thankfully, honestly.
Yeah,
I thought there was a little
seriously.
bit too much fucking in the last one.
That was a little over the top.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. But
It's
whatever.
fine.
I'm not judging it, but
No.
like, I just like, I don't know. It's just like, okay, nothing happens but fuck.
We got Order and Outrage number 4.
Oh, I forgot to look at that.
Well,
This
It's
number 4? Have we seen this one before? I don't know. I feel like I
Probably
don't remember
not.
it.
I don't know.
Outrage. Dark Horse.
it's a Jim Starlin thing with
Oh.
Rags Morales doing the art.
Oh, Greg Morales is good.
Rags Morales is amazing.
Huh. Interesting.
And speaking of amazing art, Packalist number 7.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe that this comic, which took, I don't know, the last issue took him like 3 years to come out with.
Yeah, now he's just
And
like,
now it's another 60-page issue is out
yeah. Well,
instantly.
he's just, yeah, I don't, it's cool. He's wrapping up a long time serial, and then the
Yeah,
next, it says the next one is going to be a 0 issue where he's going to have his oldest stuff that's never been published, which I'm really excited to check out.
And here is Parker Girls number 9 from Terry Moore.
Mm,
That is a thing that I am not reading.
I also am not reading it, but I'm
just
sure
not-
it's.
I mean, I'm just not a Terry Moore fan. It's not my thing.
yeah.
The people that love him love him.
Mhm.
And the people who don't probably love Peacemaker Tries Hard.
Oh my God, I do.
God, this book is so funny.
It's so good. It's so good. My Bleeding Cool ate shit so hard this week over this comic. It's fucking great.
Good.
They suck.
Well,
I mean,
duh.
whatever. But like, they did this like clickbait base like thing where it was like, well, Snowflake. They had like Marvel had Snowflake, and then he like tried to be like DC created a character called Snowflake. He's acting like number 1, it's Snowflame's first appearance, which it definitely is not.
Nope.
And number 2, it's not Snowflake, it's Snowflame.
It's
If you
Snowflake.
literally read the comic that you posted as part of your article, if you had even like processed it for like 2 seconds, you would have not fucking done that dumb mistake. And I hate the fact that they don't proofread their fucking posts more than any other thing that they do.
What about the fact that they don't seem to like comics?
Yeah.
Does that bother you at all?
I do think they like, I mean, some of them do. I think Rich Johnson, like Johnston, whatever, likes comics, but they,
He's British, so it's Johnston.
yeah, but the thing that I don't like is just the like clickbait bullshit
Yeah.
of it, you know. Just
I don't.
like,
What I don't like is the fact that I feel like my computer is getting a virus every time.
yeah,
I
but that's
click on it.
every comic site now.
What? It's just
CBR is like that?
overwhelming with garbage, just
Yeah.
pouring all through.
Oh man,
It looks like I have a CompuServe account in 1996 and I forgot to put up a firewall. It's just like pow, 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 garbage, 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 garbage.
I will say you at least own your computer that you're looking at it on when you look at it here because you own the store. If you look at them when you're at your job and it's like all of the like blockers that are on there, it's like you just basically can't read it because it like seizes up. So I'll like my Microsoft homepage will be like comic book article and I'll be like, I have 5 minutes to look at this comic book article, and then it's like, oh wait, it's just like I've
Yeah.
given my computer a seizure because it can't process any of the bullshit that's on
There's
this.
so many fucking ads. Oh, it's so stupid.
Lame.
But anyway, you get your cocaine superhero here.
Yeah.
That everybody loves.
And he really leans into it way harder than ever before. Also, there was some there was a Black Hawk thing in there that I thought was really funny too.
Oh, cool.
There's like a pilot who's old, but he was like a kid pilot when the Blackhawks were around. And there's like a really funny panel where the Blackhawks are like, well, we do think you're a good pilot, but are you sure you're 18? And he's like this little kid in a huge coat. And he's just like, yeah, no, I totally am. Also, the Red Bee is in it. And I love that so much. I love Peacemaker Tries Hard. It's very good.
I love B. Arthur.
Ah.
Anyway, Quest number 1. It's a comic from one of the Luna brothers.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. If you like them, you'll like this. I do not care for their stuff, but there are those who love it. I know that Gerald von Stoddard used to love these.
The Lunas.
Used to love the Lunas. He was a big fan of Sword, I believe was the book.
Sure.
Was not my thing at all.
Nor is this my thing.
Robotech. Rick Hunter. This is a solo series about Rick Hunter of Robotech fame. If you
Cool.
like Robotech, you're going to like this because Rick Hunter is the one with the coolest ship.
Nice. Smart to make the comic about that guy.
Yes. I think Rick Hunter has the cool ship. Is that the one? It's the one with the skull and crossbones on it, right?
Robotech is a thing that I have never paid attention to.
I
Sorry.
have seen some of it. and I have liked it.
One of those things where it's like, I bet this is really cool, and then I open it and it looks like a bunch of babies, and I'm like, I don't understand, and I put it down.
So here's the thing. Two things that I love that make no sense with my actual personality, as people would know me. I love 80s rap.
Yeah,
I love like really old, like even
Fat
going
Boys.
even going into the 70s.
Nice.
Even like Houdini,
Yeah.
like Grandmaster Flash Furious 5, like going back.
DJ Kool Herc.
Yeah, I love this kind of nonsense. That kind of stuff is great. I love that, and I love 80s anime. So when it comes to like the Macrosses and the Bubblegum Crisis and the like all that kind of dumb shit, when people are like, "Oh, My Hero Academia and Chainsaw Man and all this shit," I'm like, "It's cool, but I like the dumb shit." Like
Yeah.
I've been rewatching all of Ranma 1/2 and absolutely loving it. Like everything Rumiko Takahashi has ever done, I'm a fucking huge fan of.
I should probably watch Ranma. I never have. The
It's
only
funny
one
and silly.
that I got really into, oddly enough, and you'd think I'd be more into like adventure sci-fi stuff, but the only one I ever really liked was Marmalade Boy, which
I don't even know that one.
Yeah, Kim from Phantom Kitty
Kitty,
was
yes.
like, "We're watching this thing," and I was like, which is of course nothing like what he sounds like, but
That's a perfect.
yeah, come on in here, son.
Yeah,
We're watching some
watch-
anime. No, it was
Kim's such a hillbilly.
he's such a gruff voiced hillbilly, but
He's always like putting his Oakleys on and screaming at a video camera in his truck.
yep.
I hate that about him.
Yeah, totally. But anyway, I watched the entirety of like a season of Marmalade Boy, and I got really into it. And I don't remember what it was about, but I remember being like staying until it was done because I was
Nice.
like, I need to know what's happening. It's cool.
I've said this before, but I feel like one of the bigger honors of in my life.
Sorry, I just scratched my ear on camera. That was bad.
I moved
edit
away.
that out?
I thought I got past you, but I feel like one of the bigger honors of running Coast City is the fact that Kim shops here. I
Yeah.
always thought that like the fact that Kim and James shop here, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that really makes me happy. I don't know if it's wrong to blow up somebody's spot like that, but I feel like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean
It-
that's
it
the
just feels
passing
like
of the torch
My
if
life
there
has
is one.
come full circle that they shop here, so it
Yeah.
just makes me happy.
That's like, not only is that a connection to old comic stores from when we moved here, but also like record connection,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
because Kim used to work there too, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't even live in town when that existed. Anyway.
Bad
Times
habits
past.
Bad habits Zoots. Oh my god.
Oh man,
remember
I
Bad
did. I
Habits
do remember
record
Bad
store?
Habits. Yeah, Tony Emmons worked there
Oh,
briefly.
It was so good. Oh my god, there was so much stuff there. I was so broke when I moved to Portland that I would go to that record store and I'd just be like, well, I can't buy anything, but man, it's nice to look at all of these things.
Unfortunately for me, Bull Moose already was here right when I moved here, so I was more of a Bull Moose person because the people I knew worked at Bull Moose.
Definitely that was.
But
the
that was
case
when
for
there
me
were
as
like
well.
2 Bull Moose stores.
But still, Bad Habits was the thing.
But
that I was
Bad
like-
Habits was cool.
It
I
was
remember buying Bad Brains tapes there. I bought like
Yep.
they just like so much punk rock stuff there that was just really cool, and they had really good tapes.
They
And I was still
had-
like wicked into tapes.
They had 3 bootleg Misfits records that I was like
nice.
drooling over. There was one called Live at Al's Pub that still to this day I've never heard of.
Oh,
like I
wow.
haven't seen since I saw there.
Wow.
They had the Vampira Sessions, which I do actually finally have a copy of.
Nice.
And they had Beware, which is just the UK release. But man, super loved that place. That's a Portland thing that nobody else gives a fuck about. Sorry
that's
to
true.
waste time.
I remember
with that.
buying something on SST Records there too that I can't remember what it was.
Ooh, I love a lot of things on SST.
I don't know
Records.
why I
You know
remember
who
that.
else loves SST Records?
Who?
Rick Remender.
Oh yeah,
He is
nice
a
segue.
dude who fucking loves some good punk rock, and this is probably the most. I'm gonna say this is the most mature, complex thing that Rick Remender has ever done.
Is it Sacrificers?
This is Sacrificers.
This was the only bummer of this for me was that I read the Free Comic Book Day version, and so it was there was nothing new in it for me, But I am super down with this. I love Max Fiumara, and I think this is probably the best comic out this week for
Yeah,
me. I really
think
dig
this
it.
is-
He's on fire lately. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's really hitting something, some kind of vein.
It's crazy because this is something that I've seen other people who are of his talent level try to do, or at least maybe not his talent level, people of his prestige level. When they get famous, they try to do something like this. And the only thing that I've seen succeed is East of West.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's the only thing of this level of like, I'm going to do a Lord of the Rings style gigantic world with so much lore and history and its own religion and all this stuff, and it tends to fail.
Well, he already did Seven to Eternity, which is sort of also that with right? Isn't that him?
That is him. Yeah.
With Opeña.
I felt like that failed.
Oh, I think it just kind of fizzled because
Maybe
it
it's
didn't. But I think that was actually.
That could just be me, but I think this is much better than that.
I liked it. I like this. I like the weird kind of anthropomorphic fantasy of this more than I like the Seven to Eternity. But Jesus, the art is like so good on both of them that like you couldn't even really like compare on that.
No, you can't. They're both wonderful in their own way.
But I just really feel for this main character, this bird character, like whatever the fuck his name is. Like Jesus, like it's just brutal. He knows how to introduce a character and garner sympathy.
Yeah, instantly. I care about the journey of this fucking weird little bird.
Yeah.
And
it works for me on the same level that like my favorite Green Lantern is Tomari too. Like I just love a bird alien a lot,
and also a pathetic bird alien. Like, he's not like a majestic. Not like a majestic. Okay, come on, dude.
Tomari is not pathetic. He was in the Honor Corps. There's only three of those guys.
Hold the phone. Let me defend my position here. He's a pathetic looking bird. He looks like he's been plucked. Like all of these birds,
because he has a uniform over his feathers.
Perhaps
you've never read Green Lantern 55 and 54, where they have the big war, and he gets his shirt ripped off, and he starts flying because he can fly without a ring, which he never does for some reason. I don't know.
It's probably easier to fly with
the greatest Green Lantern of all time, and that is a hill I will die on.
That's fair. I've always felt that he looks like a bird skeleton, the way that Beta Ray Bill looks like a moose skeleton.
Oh, I don't think he looks like a skeleton at all.
He reminds me more of Beak.
It sort of depends, because you're also you're used to the fucking Ethan Van Sciver version of those aliens, which is all fucked up looking, like
That's
the
true.
Gil Kane version, where he's like more round and
firm and fully packed.
Yeah.
He's toasted.
But yeah, and that's why I hate Guy Gardner and always have hated him from the fucking very beginning, because he fucking is the reason why Tomari was killed.
Son of a
It's
bitch.
unforgivable.
Yeah.
Also, he tried to murder Hal Jordan. It was just like, I'm just gonna murder you, and he like just takes off. He used to do that all kind of shit all the time, and then
That's why everybody punches him.
But now he's like this gruff, lovable guy. I'm like, no, he's a fucking shitty murderer. Like, I don't like murderers in comics. We'll find.
I like that basically the default position of DC Comics on Guy Gardner is that you punch him in the face.
I do like that too. Yeah,
that's a funny trope.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I read a Justice League comic where he was wearing a tank top that had a Batman symbol that just had a red circle with a line through it on. I was like, you could sell that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It was sleeveless, purple. I don't know, whatever.
We got Sandman Universe Special of Thessaly. This is fun. If you are a fan of this stuff, I'm not a huge fan of this artist, of Maria Lovett usually. Her stuff is difficult for me to understand, but it's usually her writing it. So Eros, that thing that she did, that was like a little confusing to me.
I know not of what you speak.
I can't remember. It's Eros / something else, and I can't remember what it was called. But either way, it was fine. It just wasn't my thing. This, however, is we're talking about James Tynion again, and he knows the Sandman universe inside and out, and he can write these characters so well and do so much justice, and he knows all of the backstory so much better than I even remember it when I'm going into it, and I'm like, oh yeah, she did have sex with Dream. That's weird. And I was like, oh yeah, that. And there's just a bunch of other stuff, and Thessaly's such an interesting character, and they use her to great success in this, and the magic that they use in this world is so cool. I just really liked this book.
Nice.
I think it's great.
That's cool.
Again, it's probably going to be incomprehensible to you if you're not familiar with Sandman, but it's still good. Whereas Scooby-Doo,
Someone was trying to come inside, and it scared me.
Yes, there you go. Scooby-Doo. There he is.
Oh, he makes a fjord joke.
We can't
On the cover.
fjord to get caught. Oh,
they're running from a Viking.
Because it's a Viking. All right, there's the Scarlet Witch.
It was pretty good, I guess. I flipped through it. I flipped through every page of it, and it looked. If you're into this comic, you'll probably like it.
We got more Steve Orlando there. If you're into Spawn, you probably will not buy this because nobody buys it.
What?
Anyway, it's Spawn.
Spawn.
But it is crazy that it's like it's $2.99. They've started doing like heavy covers, like they're doing everything. These are so nice. They do such a good job with this. It's like
literally no one buys them.
We sell 1 copy, 2 copies of this. Spawn sells.
I mean, I assumed it was a low seller, but
I believe last count it was less than 3,000, which was like way below cancellation numbers for anything else.
But because it's Image founder Todd McFarlane,
because he wants it to keep coming out, so he makes it come out.
All right.
And also, from what I hear, this is probably just conjecture, but it's also because he makes a lot of money on trades. And as the trades come out, that's just a source of income that happens forever. And if you have number 26, as we have this week, coming out of your trade paperbacks, people will buy 1 through 25. And so by continuing this series, people will want to catch up to it, and it really does. Like, I've heard the numbers I've heard for what Savage Dragon sells in trade blow my mind. To the point that I don't even really believe them, but there you go. Anyway, we got a Yoder. Yoderowski.
Kurt Yoder.
Yep. And look at this. Look at this dark little droid. Look at this evil, scheming, conniving bastard. Oh, he might look cute. But this guy's a dark droid. He's evil. This is the story of a computer virus in the form of some sort of zombieism that's affecting all of the computers in the Star Wars universe, and it's being spread, and you'll never believe who the first person to get it is, or first droid to get it. It's one you would not expect. He's the most unassuming, and it's not R2. Anyway, we got Hyperspace Stories. I actually really liked this. I thought Dark Droids was really good. I really liked the art.
Can I see it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where if you're not into somebody doing like hyper realistic, like really true to the source and not really varying from it, you're not going to like it. If you're looking for a comic book, it's not really going to be your thing, but it is so perfect. It's crazy. It feels like you're watching a movie, and it's set very nicely. I think it's great. They put a lot into this crossover, and they're really into it, and I am too. Hyperspace Stories. And again, I'm not into a lot of Star Wars stuff, so
I thought Hyperspace Stories was really fun.
The Dark Horse stuff has been really good.
But this one particularly was really good. It's Boba Fett and Bosk and like the guys you like with cool art.
Is so good.
Yeah, it was fun.
Look at that cover. Jesus, that's so good. Anyway, Star Trek Defiant. It defies you to read it because it's a Star Trek comic. This one, that is Deep Space Nine, The Dog of War. When I found out that the Dog of War was actually a fucking dog and literally like an adorable little, like one of the Queen's dogs. What are those things called? Little short, stumpy leg dog.
Oh, corgis.
It's a little corgi. I was like, oh, that is so much cooler than it could have been. Steelworks number 3 is out. Speaking of Star Trek, we have our Michael Dorn comic again.
Yeah.
What a great fucking writer he is.
Yeah, he is good.
So shocked.
Yeah. This is fun.
Yeah, it's really better than you would expect, and not better than you'd expect, but literally just as good as you'd expect is the continuing success of Strange Academy. This thing is fucking awesome.
Nice.
I'm
glad it still has life outside of its original series.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
pretty
And
cool.
this is like this is the Miles Morales crossover, but we don't see Miles Morales until literally the last panel. So
Weird.
or page, I guess.
Huh.
So it's introducing him pretty slowly. So
Weird.
we mostly get a Strange Academy story, which is fine because Strange Academy's great. Adventures of Superman, Jonathan Kent.
Yeah, this was good. When you were talking about Superman being like kind of like the best, and the
Yeah.
earlier, like the thing you bounce the ideas off. This is like bouncing John Kent off of evil Superman from Injustice.
Oh, yeah.
in a way that's like how he beats him is, it's actually really not about beating him. It's about just kind of like how that conflict played out, and I thought it was pretty cool. Not much of an ending for a 6-issue miniseries, but it got you there, and it was an engaging read.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yep. Good stuff. Last Ronin: The Lost Years.
Nice.
This is the one where he rides a camel.
Cool.
And we have here, what if Dark Venom?
I really liked What If Dark Venom.
This is a
but it
question
should
that
really,
I ask myself every day.
It
What
should,
if Dark Venom?
What if Dark Venom? But it's not really a Venom story. It's really a Thing
it is
story.
The Thing.
It's a Ben Grimm story. But in a certain way, it's even more of a lizard
It is
story.
more of a lizard story than it is a Ben Grimm story. But I think what's interesting about this is that I think the reason it's called a What If Venom is because
Well, it's about the symbiote.
Because in the original series it would have been called What If Venom Possessed fill in the blank, because that was a thing that they did. What if Venom possessed Deadpool? What if Venom possessed blah blah blah?
Right.
And so that I think that they're just riffing on that.
Yeah. No, it was good. I really liked it. And I like the variant cover too, by Nick Bradshaw.
So good. They're both great.
It's cool.
Both really good covers. And it's very brutal.
Yeah, well, What If Dark, I think, is just basically what if where people get brutally murdered.
Yeah, and again, there's some issues with it as far as like some of these sorts of stories where it's just like, okay, that doesn't make sense, but that's fine to me.
Yeah.
A character gets killed in a way that I'm like, well, I don't think that would happen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know if this character has blood, for God's sake, because we've never seen it before.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that he has a circulatory system, but whatever, it's fine. If he does have a circulatory system, whenever he used his powers, he would probably have a heart attack every single time, but because his blood would get further away from his heart each time. But whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, that's true. You're thinking too. That's what you do. That's what you get. You're thinking too much.
Don't think too hard about it.
Listen, city boy, you need to stop thinking so much.
You know what I say? I say, let's put an end to this and have a death of the Venomverse.
This one I just do not get. It's like Spider-Verse, but it's Venomverse. Whatever. This is like, this idea was driven into the ground
It's so good.
last fucking year. You liked it?
No, it's terrible. I just think it's so funny that there's a series that nobody liked, which was like the Venomverse concept. It didn't sell well. Like across platforms, nobody read it. It sold to people collecting covers, maybe at best. And then they were like, well, they're going to really care when we kill it off. No, nobody even gives a shit that you made it. Why would you care that you killed it? It's so stupid.
It's just like, here's a bunch of characters dressed up like Venom talking to each other.
Yep.
Like, who fucking cares? I don't get it at
Not I.
all.
I don't care either.
This whole, like, Spider-Verse is a movie that is awesome.
Yep.
Period. We're going to have to wait 10 years before the final part of it comes out, apparently. But, like, it's amazing. And just let it be its own cool thing, and don't just put verse at the end of fucking every stupid IP that you own. Like, fuck off with this fucking bullshit.
That's right. In fact,
End of rant.
enjoy Welcome to the Walking Deadiverse.
I mean, honestly, like, I get it. The Walking Dead came out. It was popular. It told a story. Now they're like, hey, let's colorize it and do it that way. Okay, fine.
Sure.
This is fine.
And we have X-Men 25, a big clutch issue with a bunch of dead people.
Oh, yeah. You know, I don't know. I'm so angry at the X-Men right now, but I do really like Kitty Pryde. And
I like that
I liked the art in this comic.
I would be so happy if for the next 100 years, every year or less, 6 months, every 6 months, Kitty Pryde changes her name. It's like, listen,
Yeah.
hold on. 6 months ago, I was like, fuck you. You call me Kate.
Yeah.
And then she's like, no, I'm Shadowcat with a K. I was Shadowcat with a C
C
before. So
Yeah,
you
like
shut
the idea that-
how dare you call me Shadowcat?
It's such a comic book thing too to like change the spelling of it. It's just like she's Shadow Cat
name with
now,
a
but spelled different. It's like, come on, it's not pronounced different, you dipshits. Also, I can't really get excited about a comic where like it's cool. This would be a great what if comic.
Yep.
Like, oh, there's a lot of really cool ways that Shadowcat could kill people with her powers, and there's definitely some great kills in this.
Yes.
But like, I just don't want to read that.
Yeah.
I don't like this. I know it's a character that's progressed and she's an adult now and not a little kid anymore and whatever, blah blah blah. Fucking care. But like, I don't need a comic where the X-Men are murdered, and I don't need a comic where the X-Men murder. I just don't need it. I don't want it. And
it even goes against the tenets of Krakoa when it started the whole damn thing.
Yeah, but she like specifically like points that out in her murder spree. So I mean,
like, check this out. I don't care no more.
It's like one of those things where it's like, I get that there's a logic to the story. I'm not saying the comic doesn't have logic. I am saying that it's offensive at its core. It really now. I thought like, oh, like last week I listened to it and I'm like, oh, I like this. There could be a new direction for this. But the more I thought about it and the more it sat with me, I'm just like, can you just treat the characters with respect? Like, can you just do that? Like, that's how fucking hard is that? Like, you can do cool stuff with any character. Like, that's been proven with Immortal Hulk or any, like, there's a million, this new Doctor Strange. I've read a million Doctor Strange, and I've always been pretty lukewarm by Doctor Strange. Yep. Now this new series, it's like, it's doing something just a little bit different, you know, but it's like, there's respect to it. And I fucking hate Jerry Duggan. I do. I think he's a shitty writer. I think he's like Mark Millar quality of writer for me. Like, I just like, if he wrote it, I don't give a fuck. Because not only did he write these X-Men comics that I hate, he also wrote that fucking cock-Jew bullshit, which I fucking also hate. I just think that's all this guy has. Just dumbass
I
fucking
feel like cock-Jew
lowbrower.
might have soured me to him as well.
I think he's a fucking hack.
He's a bit of a hack.
I hope he hears this too.
He does. He definitely
No,
listens.
he never will, but I would love it if he did. I would love it if I could like have a platform where I'm just like, I fucking hate your writing, you shitty hack.
Ooh,
anyway,
that's what happens when I push that button. It looks at that.
It turns me off when
And
I'm
a stack
swearing
of
and
things.
ranting at specific people, which I shouldn't
Ooh, I like
do.
that. Okay. Anyway,
I'm
that's
sure
it.
he's a nice person.
He's not. I think he's the next Hitler. No,
Sorry.
he's not. I'm just kidding.
Don't know anything about him personally. I just think his writing is offensive.
Fair enough. I mean, I think, but just based on Cockjew, I think that's demonstrably true.
Well, and I mean, obviously with that one, it's like about it. But
It's
anyway,
about being
there are
offensive.
like, you could read the Magneto comic or like the Iceman comic, and there's like, they're not killing everybody, and it's not about.
I did
that
enjoy
shit.
both of those
Those
things
were-
actually.
both
I
of
did
those were both
enjoy
felt-
Iceman, and I didn't read Magneto, but I skimmed it, and I actually think I really want to read it. So
Yeah, the only thing that's a bummer about Magneto is that it's set in the past and not in the present. But it's like, I wish they would like get some of these guys that are still writing that understand the characters to just get more involved. Like, you don't.
I just want Joseph back. That's all I.
Joseph
care
is back.
about. He is.
He's in that X-Men comic. Oh no, wait, no. Which one is he in? He's in.
What?
No, he's in Scarlet Witch.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he's in Scarlet Witch.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
That's exciting.
Joseph is fully back.
I love Joseph.
Yeah.
Okay, a Joseph Maggot team up is on the way.
It's on the horizon.
Maggot and Joseph.
Assuming
forever.
that Maggot wasn't one of the 250,000 mutants that was supposedly executed last month.
They love to do
Last
that,
week.
man.
I mean, so obviously they're not dead, but like, it
It
just
seems like every
like,
6 months every 4 years they kill off everybody but 138 mutants.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like they and obviously they're doing something different, so I'm not gonna like react to it like it's like, oh no, my precious characters. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. Like, if there was a comic where they all died and whatever, like, it wouldn't.
Listen,
it
it's
would just be
9:47.
I'm sorry.
Let's go home.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Anyway, I understand.
I have feelings.
I understand that you have feelings about the X-Men, but I have feelings about going to bed.
I'm sorry.
And
you can shut me up anytime. I'm sorry.
All right. You can follow us at Coast City Comics. You can buy things from coastcitycomics.com. You can follow Bob at Dollar Binge, and we'll see you next week.
I'm not sorry.
I don't ask you to be. I only ask you to go to bed. Good night.
Bye.